What if a single bruise could shake the entire political landscape of a superpower? In the United States, a storm of rumors erupted, not about foreign policy, not about fiery speeches, but sparked by one unsettling photograph. The image showed President Donald Trump shaking hands with South Korea's leader, Lee Jae-myung. But what caught everyone's attention was the large, dark bruise on the back of Trump's hand, standing out like a glaring warning sign. Suddenly, whispers turned into headlines. The president hadn't been seen publicly for over a week. Roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were cordoned off, fueling speculation that something far more serious was unfolding behind closed doors. Online, theories spread like wildfire. Was the president seriously ill? Could he survive the remainder of his term? One Chinese news portal boldly asked if Trump had only 6 months left to live, illustrating their article with close-ups of the ominous bruise, which seemed to cover nearly half the back of his hand. Across the ocean, British media poured drama onto the fire. The Independent claimed Trump was trying to conceal the mark with foundation makeup, carefully hiding his hand while signing official documents. NBC recalled similar bruises spotted as far back as the previous August. Back then, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt insisted these were harmless, caused by aspirin use and the president's relentless handshakes. But skeptics weren't convinced. The bruise's shape was oddly specific, too precise to be a casual golf injury or a simple bump. Some viewers suggested it resembled the mark left by an intravenous injection. Comments flooded forums, "This isn't from golf. The shape is strange, and the skin looks damaged." Another added, "These marks appear on patients receiving vein injections." The president seemed desperate to hide the truth, but failed spectacularly. And this was just the beginning of an unraveling mystery that gripped the nation's attention and sparked a frenzy of speculation. What shadow loomed behind that single bruise? What secrets was the White House trying so hard to mask? The deeper the officials dug to explain, the thicker the fog of suspicion became. Previously, we saw how attempts to explain the mysterious bruise on the president's hand only deepened the public's suspicion. Some said it wasn't a simple golf injury. The mark's odd shape and damaged skin resembled signs of intravenous injections. The president's efforts to hide it failed spectacularly. But this was just the beginning. Now, the more White House officials tried to calm the storm, the louder the doubts grew. It wasn't just the bruises fueling concern, swollen ankles became impossible to ignore. Reporters, photographers, even casual onlookers caught these unsettling signs. The nation transformed into a makeshift medical board, piecing together clues from fragments and whispers. Online communities buzzed with theories: heart failure, circulatory problems, blood pressure irregularities. One user boldly declared, "That bruise on his hand hasn't faded in months. Combined with the swelling, it screams of a serious illness." The White House couldn't stay silent for long. Caroline Leavitt, a spokesperson, announced the president had undergone thorough examinations, including vascular diagnostics. Ultrasound scans of his lower limbs revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a common condition among those over 70. Crucially, no signs of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease were found. This explanation was meant to soothe, but it backfired. The diagnosis felt too ordinary to explain the mounting doubts. Leavitt insisted the president was feeling great, but the internet runs on its own rules. Videos from March showed him dragging a leg across a golf course, sparking fresh speculation. Was it knee trouble? Joint pain? Or something neurological? A British sports doctor, Aaron Gray, offered his perspective to a major publication. He suggested the president might have jumper's knee, a condition where both knees tend to bend inward unnaturally. Though less dramatic than heart failure, this theory seemed more believable to many. But what if these explanations barely scratched the surface? Could the truth behind the bruises and swelling be far darker? The silence from the White House only fuels the fire. What secrets lie hidden beneath the polished public façade? And how long before the cracks become impossible to ignore? What if the hidden truth behind a single bruise could unravel the fate of a nation? While official voices insisted all was well, whispers of secret medical exams and chronic vein issues slipped quietly into the public sphere. Mentions of special treatments, strict diets, and medication stirred a storm beneath the surface. The media jumped on the mystery, comparing the current leader's silence to Reagan's guarded health or Eisenhower's covert heart attack. Yet, the White House refused to release detailed health reports, offering only vague assurances of vitality and strength. This veil of secrecy only fanned the flames of suspicion. In a country used to transparency and scandal alike, any hint of concealment feels like a red flag. The political stakes rose sharply. If the president were truly unable to fulfill his duties, the spotlight would shift to Vice President J. Dives, a 40-year-old suddenly thrust into the eye of a growing storm. His readiness to assume power was splashed across headlines, fueling whispers of an impending power shuffle. No formal steps had been taken, but even the mere talk revealed cracks and instability. Meanwhile, global affairs marched on. Before falling ill, the president had fiercely opposed buying oil from Russia and pressured India with tariffs. Yet now, his health overshadowed those battles. Asian media even spun wild theories blaming Putin for the mysterious bruise, a dramatic caricature of today's political theater. Surprisingly, such speculative stories racked up millions of views. The audience craves the loudest, most explosive narratives, no matter how far-fetched. What lies beneath the silence? Could a hidden illness be steering a nation's course? Or is this all just smoke and mirrors in a game of power and perception? The answers remain just out of reach, as the world watches and wonders. In a gripping tale unfolding in the United States, whispers of uncertainty swirl around the health of a prominent figure, former President Donald Trump. Unlike the usual political controversies driven by foreign policy statements or controversial tweets, speculation ignites from a seemingly innocuous photograph, one where Trump shakes hands with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. A large bruise, ominously marking the back of Trump's hand, becomes the spark that sets off a firestorm of conjecture. As Trump remains absent from public view for over a week, roads around the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center are closed off, adding fuel to the rumors suggesting his health could be in jeopardy. The political landscape buzzes with the kind of drama usually reserved for blockbuster thrillers. A Chinese news portal even goes so far as to suggest Trump has mere months to live, showcasing images of the ominous bruise. The British media adds another layer of intrigue, hinting at the possibility that Trump is using makeup to conceal a hematoma. Observers note that such a bruise, with its distinct shape, shares a suspicious resemblance to an intravenous injection site, leading some to say, this is not a golf injury. As suspicions deepen, Trump's official spokespeople vigorously deny allegations of his deteriorating health. They cite a condition known as chronic venous insufficiency, common among those past 70, supposedly quelling fears of anything more serious. Yet, the very act of repression only fuels public unrest. Despite pronounced reassurances of Trump's excellent health, video evidence of him struggling on a golf course pattern the ominous narrative, a stark contradiction to the sunny declaration of well-being. With each passing day, the silence surrounding Trump only amplifies the tension. The media landscape transforms into a theater of speculation. The absence of answers invites comparison to past leaders who also kept their health struggles hidden. As the public and analysts alike grapple with the implications of leadership voids, questions arise: who is truly steering the ship? In the midst of this health crisis, a sudden spike in interest toward Vice President J.D. Vance emerges. Headlines announce his readiness to step into Trump's role in the event of tragedy, sending ripple effects through party lines and creating a swirl of speculative narratives. The American populace, desperate for clarity, finds itself trapped in a whirlwind of political intrigue and uncertainty, with the very question of who is in charge hanging ominously in the air. Amidst this chaos, international affairs risk being overshadowed. Trump's prior stance against Russian oil imports has lost its powerful voice, giving rise to an eerie quiet. Speculation about who has incurred blame for his health issues adds another absurd twist to the political theater playing out. These developments coincide with tumultuous discussions regarding the federal budget, as sharp divisions stymie progress. Just as conversations about fiscal responsibility were heating up, the focus shifts to Trump's bruise, cleverly diverting attention from the contentious issues plaguing lawmakers. This contrast raises eyebrows. As political maneuvers juxtapose the public's demand for transparency against a backdrop of burgeoning doubts. As the weeks unfold, the narrative becomes a vivid tableau of anxiety and intrigue, one where questions loom: is the nation under the influence of a hidden hand? Could a mere bruise signal deeper issues beneath the surface? With every new development, the audience yearns for answers, as the pulse of uncertainty beats ever louder. The story takes a sharp turn as the United States is engulfed in speculation about the health of President Donald Trump. A photograph showing a noticeable bruise on his hand triggers a wave of rumors leading to questions about potential political crises. The political atmosphere shudders with uncertainty. A week goes by without citing the president, as reporters flood the airwaves with theories of his possible incapacity. As roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center are shut down, whispers of serious illness spiral out of control. Could this be the beginning of a political storm? Image after image conveys a stark truth: Trump doesn't appear in public. The public grows anxious, not just about the bruise, which some claim resembles a site for intravenous drug use, but also about additional swelling in his ankles. Skepticism reigns as voices from social media echo doubts. Is Trump hiding more than just a simple injury? Pundits speculate on serious conditions like heart failure or chronic circulatory issues. One user boldly states, "That bruise has been there for months. It's certainly a sign of a serious illness." Meanwhile, the White House insists Trump is fine, stating he underwent extensive vascular examinations with no signs of deep vein thrombosis. But the official's reassurances only seem to heighten public suspicion. His poor public appearances give rise to fresh narratives around his health. Filmed struggling to walk, questions about knee issues and potential neurological disorders surge. In a twist, an expert hints at jumper's knee, a condition where knees bend inward. It sounds less alarming yet captures the public's imagination. How can someone in such a position exhibit clear ailments while claiming to be in good health? Despite the White House downplaying concerns, doubts fester. The vice president, Jay Devins, becomes a focal point of conversation as people evaluate what could happen if Trump were incapacitated. Could instability be on the horizon? The media sharpens its focus on Devins amidst the president's absence, revealing a stark reality: what happens if Trump can no longer serve? Meanwhile, the speculation over Trump's health coincides with budgetary discussions in Congress, making the political climate even more volatile. As attention shifts from billion-dollar dealings to a bruise, one must ponder, what is the true cost of distracting the public? Could this be a tactic to divert attention away from the pressing issues affecting ordinary Americans, like plunging approval ratings? Trump's support dips below 40%, and whispers of discontent grow louder. Can the nation remain united in crisis, or will the growing shadow of doubt shatter the fragile facade of leadership? The questions linger, leaving a chill in the air as the American political landscape braces for potential upheaval. What will happen next? The stage is set for revelations that could change the course of governance forever. The approval rating of Donald Trump has slipped below 40%, marking the lowest point for a new president in over 3 decades. This decline puzzles many, especially since just months ago, support comfortably hovered above 50%. Official voices dismiss this slump as mere economic turbulence, yet deeper causes seem at play, rooted in the leader's own shadowed narrative. Americans haven't forgotten the tales spun about Joe Biden's robust health, only to uncover a president struggling to manage a full day's work behind closed doors. Now, hearing similar platitudes about Trump triggers widespread mistrust. Is it not ironic that a nation preaching transparency and stability to the world now finds itself consumed by speculation over something as trivial, yet so revealing, as a bruise on the president's hand? Instead of focusing on pressing issues like energy policy or trade wars, headlines obsess over a swollen handprint, whispers from pastors praying for his well-being, and guarded statements from the White House. A single dark mark becomes the catalyst for global rumors, shaking financial markets and triggering political tremors. Though the specter of crisis remains hypothetical, the mere act of debating it seriously reveals a fractured system. Trump's enemies scent an opportunity to weaken his grip. His allies see a rallying cry to energize their base amidst mounting doubt. Recall how, in recent months, Washington pressed Europe and Asia to trust in unwavering American dominance, yet now, veiled journeys to military hospitals and hand wounds cast a grim shadow over those assurances. Watching this unfold is like witnessing a fated stage play where actors forget their lines but persist for the empty applause. The audience once cheered. Now, only boos and restless murmurs remain. The United States and its European allies persist in acting as though control is intact. Yet, the facts stubbornly point the other way. What happens when the actor at the center of the stage is no longer fully in control? What hidden truths lie beneath a single, ominous bruise? And how much longer can the curtain stay drawn before the whole performance collapses? In a time where uncertainty looms large, the United States finds itself at the center of growing whispers and uneasy hearts. This isn't about simply dissecting foreign policies or bold declarations. This time, it all hinges on a photograph. Imagine the scene: President Donald Trump shakes hands with South Korea's leader, but a dark, unsettling bruise paints the back of his palm. The image goes viral, igniting rampant speculations about an impending political storm. For over a week, Trump has vanished from public sight, shrouded in silence as roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center have been cordoned off. The air is thick with rumors that he might be facing a severe illness, one that could prevent him from completing his term. This buzz travels like wildfire, escalating discussions as if the nation teeters on the brink of a monumental disaster. What adds fuel to the fire? A Chinese news site suggests he has only 6 months left, backing this claim with shocking images of that conspicuous bruise. The British press doesn't hold back either. Reports emerge that Trump has been covering his hematoma with makeup, concealing it during official signings. Remember last August, when whispers of similar marks were dismissed as side effects of aspirin and a busy handshake routine? Now, the narrative shifts. Observers claim this mark looks alarmingly like a site for intravenous medication. Could it really be? One commentator boldly asserts, this is no mere golf injury. The shape is too distinct, with visible damage to the skin. As shockwaves ripple through discussions, collective anxiety grows. Fueled by new concerns about swollen ankles caught by journalists and casual onlookers alike. A society that typically focuses on economic discourse suddenly morphs into a medical commission, piecing together symptoms of heart failure, circulation issues, and pressure regulation as fears intensify over Trump's health. But just when people begin to calm, the official response pours in. Caroline Leavitt, the White House spokesperson, insists Trump underwent extensive examinations that revealed chronic venous insufficiency. Can you feel the irony? The diagnosis isn't grave, but it stirs dissent. Such a mundane explanation does little to ease widespread suspicion. Is he truly feeling fine? The internet retorts, juxtaposing the upbeat declarations with unsettling footage of Trump struggling to navigate a golf course. What if the truth is hauntingly different? Just as Leavitt reassures us of Trump's well-being, the shadows of his last public appearances linger, leaving us questioning the very fabric of his capability. After all, in the eerie quiet of the White House, whispers hint that if Trump falters, Vice President J. Devins, youthful at 40, might just be poised for a dramatic takeover. Among all this chaos, the implications extend far beyond the personal realm. International dynamics shift, as while the world focuses on Trump's health, major players are merely biding their time. In the backdrop, tensions rise within NATO, and discontent brews as Turkey continues to block Sweden's membership despite promises of unity. Meanwhile, even as the West touts its control, the facts starkly portray a different narrative. Now consider this, with the IMF predicting a growth leap for Russia as the West grapples with economic decline, is the Western grip on power as strong as they profess? The eerie quiet around Trump's health seems indicative of a larger unraveling, a cracks in the façade of a system that boasts confidence while quietly veering into turmoil. In this tangled web of health rumors and political maneuvers, one question echoes: how fragile is leadership when shrouded in secrecy? The theater of politics plays out, where the stakes have never been higher, but as the audience, will we applaud the spectacle, or will we hiss at the unraveling plot? In a shocking twist, amidst the political chaos brewing in the United States, whispers about the health of a high-profile leader have ignited a media frenzy. Could it be true that the president is on the brink of a political crisis? Recently, the political landscape quaked not from international affairs but from an image that depicted President Donald Trump shaking hands with his South Korean counterpart. The back of his hand bore a deep bruise, enough to send rumors spiraling through newsfeeds about his declining health. Trump had been absent from public view for over a week, his health supposedly the reason for the road closures around Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Online, theories ranged wildly. Some claimed he might not complete his term. It felt like a national spectacle, with speculation moving as fast as the speed of light, almost as if a crisis was unfolding on a grand scale. In a dramatic twist, a news outlet in China boldly questioned whether the president had just 6 months left to live, sharing explicit images of the bruise that occupied a significant portion of his hand. British media added another layer, suggesting Trump was camouflaging the hematoma with foundation, raising eyebrows, and eyebrows alone seemed no longer sufficient. Historical echoes of similar concerns were evoked, with his press secretary claiming the bruise stemmed from aspirin use and shaking hands. Yet, several observers found the shape of the mark suspicious, noting it did not resemble a mere accident. Could such a mark, many speculated, hint at something darker? Comments flooded in, suggesting the bruising resembled injection marks typically found in patients receiving 4 drips. The administration's attempts to smother speculation only fed the fervor, heightening anxiety about the president's overall well-being. With swelling in his ankles caught in the eye of news crews and casual onlookers, public concern morphed into a diagnosis, the internet becoming a virtual medical board. Theories about heart issues and circulation problems began swirling, with users confidently declaring the long-lasting bruise indicated a serious ailment. Yet, the official responses were evasive at best. As anxieties mounted, a representative from the administration confirmed a comprehensive evaluation, unveiling chronic venous insufficiency, ordinary for those over 70 but particularly intriguing given the scrutiny surrounding Trump. Despite the reassuring words, imagery of a president limping during a recent golf outing contradicted their narrative, leading to fresh inquiries around his overall health. Some even ventured to speculate about his knee issues, with one expert hinting at a condition that causes inward bending at both knees. While less alarming than heart failure, these interpretations gained traction among the public. The official narrative faltered under the weight of mounting skepticism, and as silence cloaked the White House, uncertainty prevailed. Could it be that the real story lay hidden beneath layers of public relations? As Trump reportedly tweeted vigor about his golf game that very day, the absence of visible, live appearances escalated the tension. The political climate was particularly fraught. While officials insisted everything was fine, news of the president's condition, complete with discussions of his dietary habits, fueled the fire. Public discourse morphed from mere whispers into widespread speculation. With mounting confidence, comparisons to past presidents facing health issues emerged, and media outlets drummed up tales of political instability. If Trump truly couldn't fulfill his duties, would Vice President J. Devin's emergence as a potential leader shift the political landscape? His remarks on assuming leadership amid potential tragedy sent shockwaves through news cycles, painting a picture of a looming power vacuum. The international implications intertwined with this narrative, as Trump's health issues overshadowed his hardline stance against foreign oil purchases. Ironically, amid speculation about his well-being, the health of American leadership appeared to flicker uncertainly in the baleful light of distrust and political maneuvering. As whispers became roars, could this be the beginning of the end for Trump's administration? Political polarization ran rampant, leaving the populace at the edge of their seats, questioning the legacy of leadership in an era plagued by uncertainty. A wave of uncertainty is sweeping through the United States, ignited by concerns regarding President Donald Trump's health. Rumors explode like fireworks, not stemming from controversial speeches or foreign policy decisions, but from a single image, a photo of Trump shaking hands with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, showcasing a large bruise on the back of his hand. This seemingly innocuous image sends shockwaves throughout the media, igniting speculations of an impending political crisis. For over a week, Trump has been shrouded in secrecy, avoiding public appearances. Roads around Walter Reed National Military Medical Center have been closed, and conspiracy theories boil over, suggesting that the president is seriously ill and unable to fulfill his term. Theories race through social media, implying that the bruise could indicate much more than just a simple injury. On platforms and forums, discussions cling to the notion of possible heart issues, circulation problems, or blood pressure irregularities. As if on cue, a disheartening remark surfaces: "This bruise has persisted for months." Combined with swelling, it clearly suggests a serious illness. The atmosphere grows increasingly charged, with the public transforming into an informal medical panel, dissecting each detail. The more the White House tries to reassure everyone with mundane explanations, the louder the whispers of anxiety become. As reporters capture not only the bruise but also noticeable swelling around Trump's ankles, doubts mount. Could these signs imply deeper, more troubling health issues? The silence from officials only feeds the frenzy. In the political arena, this situation has taken a dramatic turn. Speculations arise not only about the president's health but also about potential succession. Vice President Jay Devon is suddenly in the spotlight. At only 40 years old, he becomes the focus of much debate. When he hinted readiness to step up in case of a tragedy, journalists eagerly grabbed hold of the implications. As tension mounts, the political stakes soar higher. Just when it seems like the fallout could not get more intense, Trump posts a cheerful update about his golf game, donning a bright golden cap adorned with American symbols. Still, absence from public life for over a week casts a long shadow over his spirited words. What happens if Trump can't continue in office? Do the allegations about his health indicate a much larger political upheaval? As the nation grapples with these questions, we find ourselves on the edge of a cliff, uncertain what the next twist in this political saga will reveal. As the drama unfolds, tensions escalate not just within the confines of the White House but stretch across the globe. In this charged climate, President Trump returned to office with high tariffs placed on India, hoping to sway their purchasing decisions regarding Russian oil. However, Indian Prime Minister Modi's unwavering stance of prioritizing national interests flips the script on Trump's expectations. Meanwhile, Congress is not just watching but tightening its grip, threatening harsh measures not only against India but also against Brazil, which unapologetically asserts its right to procure resources from wherever it's convenient. Inside the United States, the atmosphere is far from calm. With public trust in Congress plummeting to a historical low of just 15%, and national debt climbing above $34 trillion, the socio-political landscape grows ever more precarious. Voter frustration mounts with each new support program, and Trump's rhetoric attempts to navigate this treacherous political sea, proclaiming a desire to bring conflicts to an end while simultaneously asserting that the U.S. must maintain its status as a dominant force. In Europe, leaders capitalize on Trump's statements, using them to frame their own narratives. French President Macron brands Russia a predator while attempting to mask the growing discontent among the public at home. Perhaps in a bid to distract from internal struggles, German Chancellor echoes fears of a Russian threat, despite hearing bad news about plummeting industrial output rates. As economic pressures aggregate, with rising energy bills and stifled manufacturing, it raises questions about whether these nations can band together effectively. NATO moves to expand its presence, seeking partnerships with allies like Japan, South Korea, and Australia under the guise of stability. Yet, responses from these nations reveal a cautious ambivalence towards such partnerships. While they might agree to general declarations, they delay financial investment or tangible support. In the midst of all this, could the political landscape shift dramatically if Trump's health worsens? Are we witnessing the beginning of a deeper malaise affecting not just the president but the entire nation? As every angle of this drama unfolds, the stakes are raised higher than ever before. What revelations lie ahead? Will Trump's resilience withstand the mounting pressures, or has the turning tide already begun? As we stand at this critical juncture, the suspense thickens. In the United States, a storm is brewing, rooted not in policies or political debates, but in something far more personal, the health of former President Donald Trump. The political landscape was jolted by an image that circulated widely, showing Trump shaking hands with South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol. On the back of Trump's hand was a conspicuous bruise large enough to ignite a whirlwind of speculation about an impending political crisis. The former president had been largely absent from public view for over a week. Rumors spread like wildfire, especially around the recently blocked roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. Whispers suggested he was suffering from a grave illness, making it uncertain whether he could fulfill the remainder of his term. Typically, disquiet like this often stems from newsworthy decisions, yet this instance was fueled simply by a photograph. Contrasting narratives bubbled to the surface. A Chinese news portal even published a bold headline suggesting Trump had only 6 months to live, accompanying it with photos showcasing the bruise occupying nearly half the back of his hand. The British press added their flair, claiming Trump was camouflaging a hematoma with makeup and carefully hidden his hand while signing documents. Meanwhile, NBC pointed out that similar markings had been spotted as far back as the previous August. With each explanation from the White House, doubts grew deeper. People noted not just the bruise, but also the swelling around Trump's ankles, captured by journalists and eyewitnesses. It seemed the public had transformed into a veritable medical board, piecing together symptoms to diagnose the former leader. Online forums buzzed with theories about heart failure and circulation issues. Some users even speculated on the nature of the bruise, suggesting its peculiar shape resembled intravenous drug administration sites. One commenter remarked confidently, "This isn't just a golf-related injury. The shape looks odd, and the skin seems damaged." Another added, "These are marks we see on patients getting 4 injections." The more attempts were made to clarify, the more intense the suspicion became. Yet the real drama lay in the reactions of officials. While the White House insisted there was no cause for alarm, the detected swelling and other symptoms only amplified public concern. On one hand, Caroline Leavitt from the White House maintained that Trump underwent comprehensive examinations, which revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a common ailment for those over 70. Yet, the ambiguity of this diagnosis only fueled the fire, leaving many unconvinced. Despite Leavitt's assurances of Trump's well-being, clips emerged showing him struggling to walk on a golf course, raising new questions about knee problems or even potential neurological issues. Amid the escalating drama, the vice president's unsolicited offers to assume leadership in case of a tragedy stoked the flames of uncertainty even further. In the backdrop of this medical intrigue, financial markets responded swiftly. The Dow Jones Index plummeted 15% on the very day streets near the hospital were blocked, while gold prices reached 6-month highs. Investors were rattled, unwilling to risk their fortunes amidst growing instability. Adding to the chaos, the international narrative shifted as Trump, known for his hardline stance, suddenly found himself at the center of a fresh debate over his fitness for office, while the ongoing global matters, like rising oil prices and tense diplomacy with Russia and China, slid into the shadow of uncertainty surrounding his health. As analyses poured in from both sides of the political divide, the public remained captivated, tirelessly seeking answers amidst the shroud of silence. The lack of transparency only deepened the divide, leaving many fingers pointing towards a possible power vacuum if Trump were to be incapacitated, especially with the looming figure of the youthful vice president. In the theater of politics, nothing is ever haphazard. As America focused on the spectacle of Trump's health crisis, more pressing issues faded from public consciousness, like federal budget strains and spending debates. The juxtaposition of Trump's health against the backdrop of pressing national responsibility illustrated a reality where image often overshadowed substance. This combination of a personal health crisis and political maneuvering opened a new chapter in American politics, one steeped in mystery and conjecture that bridged the gap between health concerns and overarching issues of governance. Would the shadows of doubt hanging over Trump create an opportunity for his rivals, or would they solidify his standing once again? The answers remain tantalizingly out of reach, like fragments of a puzzle left unsolved. While Western capitals insist Russia and China are isolated, a very different scene unfolds in Beijing. There, in the Great Hall of the People, alongside Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, sit the leaders of India, Iran, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and other nations. Together, they represent billions of people and over half of the world's economy. This meeting is no ordinary gathering. CNN had to admit it shows a deepening alliance between two powerful leaders. Putin openly defies Western pressure to end the conflict in a well-known country. Meanwhile, Xi Jinping positions China as the new global powerhouse. The message is clear. This isn't a fringe group but a platform shaping an alternative world order, one that challenges Western dominance. Even American media can't ignore the symbolism. The Washington Post pointed out Xi's warm welcome toward Putin, his expressive gestures, and clear personal engagement. Moscow fanned the flames by announcing that Putin's visit was his longest in a foreign country in years. The irony? A leader long condemned to diplomatic isolation must now avoid extra meetings due to a packed schedule. All this unfolds as Donald Trump's foreign policy disrupts the status quo. Rising tariffs against India and China pushed those nations closer to Moscow. French publication Le Monde noted Putin's joke while speaking with India's Narendra Modi, who turned his back on the US precisely when Washington tries to pressure India away from Russian resources. The prime minister of one of the world's largest economies boldly chooses the opposite path. Bloomberg added another piece to the puzzle. Gazprom's chief, Alexei Miller, announced plans to redirect some exports to China, compensating for Europe's losses due to sanctions. This strategic move is simple to understand. Trade between Moscow and Beijing hit $245 billion last year, a 68% jump from 3 years ago. Despite talk of a ruined economy, these numbers paint a very different story. What does this mean for the global balance? Can this growing alliance withstand the West's attempts to isolate them? And what surprises lie beneath the surface of these grand gestures? The stage is set for a dramatic reshaping of power. But the real question remains, who will emerge stronger when the dust settles? Amidst the backdrop of a massive summit in Beijing, a significant moment unfolded, signaling a pivotal shift in global alliances. The Chinese president, Xi Jinping, showcased the increasing camaraderie with Russia and India during a grand military parade. With American tariffs acting as a catalyst, traditional ties are morphing. While Washington may impose export restrictions, the reality remains unchanged. New, resilient collaborations are forming. The interdependence between China's export-driven economy and Russia's burgeoning energy supplies is less a rallying cry and more a striking reality. As Western analysts attempt to downplay the significance of the summit, overlooking its implications seems misguided. When leaders from nations whose combined economic influence rivals or surpasses Europe convene, this alone signifies a monumental outcome. The Washington Post acknowledges that even if tangible results seem elusive, the mere attendance of figures like President Putin and Iranian leader Masoud Pezeshkian illustrates their argument against isolation. This acknowledgement poses a discomforting revelation for a Western audience long accustomed to dismissing these leaders as international pariahs. The German publication, Die Welt, went a step further, detailing Putin's assertion that the ongoing crisis results not from Russian actions but stem from a coup spurred by Western interference. He also asserted that the relentless ambition to draw a certain nation into NATO has exacerbated tensions. These statements challenge the Western narrative and echo throughout the assembly, resonating with both reporters and diplomatic delegations present. In tandem, she echoed concerns over the prevailing global order, labeling it unjust and unrepresentative of the majority's interests worldwide. Ironically, for decades, the West has championed the universality of its values, but the moment Beijing and Moscow propose an alternative, it becomes evident that there is considerable support for these opposing ideas. The ramifications of this summit extend far beyond mere rhetoric. They are a clarion call for a redefined global landscape. As the audience absorbed these sentiments, questions hung in the air. Is the world witnessing the rise of a new power dynamic? What does this mean for the established order in Washington? The stakes have never been higher, with potential repercussions echoing across continents. In recent weeks, whispers of political turmoil have echoed through the United States, this time centered on President Donald Trump's health. A seemingly innocuous image of him shaking hands with South Korea's leader revealed a troubling bruise on his hand, igniting a wildfire of speculation. It has been over a week since Trump last appeared in public, prompting concerns about his well-being and the stability of his presidency. Traffic around Walter Reed National Military Medical Center was shut down, with many wondering if the president would finish his term. What does this bruise signify? As the rumors escalated, every headline seemed to scream of impending crisis. Chinese media shockingly suggested that Trump had only 6 months left to live, amplifying fears from every corner. The British press added fuel to the fire, claiming Trump was covering a hematoma with makeup, hiding his deteriorating condition as he signed documents. Whispers of medical issues became frantic discussions among the public, merging into conspiracy theories as the speculation spiraled out of control. Was this bruise from golfing, or something much darker, a sign of serious illness? Despite attempts from the White House to calm the storm with reassurances of routine checkups, skepticism reigned. Officials confirmed Trump was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, a common ailment for those over 70. However, skepticism grew even louder. Observers noted puffiness in his ankles during past appearances and speculated about deeper issues like heart failure. As news outlets dissected every detail, the concern morphed into paranoia. Could the president truly function as he once did? What would happen if he could not carry out his duties? Amid this chaos, Vice President J. Devens, a mere 40 years old, found himself thrust into conversations about succession, heightening tensions within the Republican Party. Would a medical emergency force him into leadership? The financial markets reacted swiftly, as Dow Jones plummeted following news of Trump's condition. Investors panicked, worried about the future while discussing his health in public forums. And even as Trump tweeted pictures of himself looking vibrant in golf attire, the public's worry deepened because of his conspicuous absence from public view. Now, as America lives on a knife's edge, grappling with the uncertainty of their leader's health, curiosity looms. If the whispers about Trump's condition prove to be more than mere rumors, who really stands ready to lead? And as the political landscape shifts, what implications could this have on America's future? What truths lie beneath this political drama, waiting to be unearthed? In the midst of escalating rumors in the United States, a sensational narrative unfolds, one that challenges the very foundation of political stability. The spotlight is on the health of former President Donald Trump. For the first time in years, the American political landscape shudders, not due to foreign policies or bold announcements, but because of a single photograph. In this striking image, Trump shakes hands with South Korea's Prime Minister, Lee Jae-myung, but the focus isn't the warm greeting, it's the large bruise visible on the back of Trump's hand. This seemingly trivial detail ignites a wildfire of speculation. Trump hasn't made a public appearance in over a week. The area around Walter Reed National Military Medical Center is shuttered, as whispers grow louder that the U.S. president is gravely ill and may not finish his term. Eyebrows raise and theories flourish, transforming what began as a medical concern into a political powder keg. Adding to the drama, a Chinese portal publishes alarming content questioning if Trump's time in office could be counted in months. The bruise takes center stage, dominating news feeds worldwide, while images show it consuming almost half of his hand's surface. British tabloids escalate the tension, suggesting he disguises serious wounds with makeup. Journalists recall similar markings from the past, bringing them back into the political discourse. The White House insists these are mere side effects of a busy lifestyle, but doesn't ease public concern. And then, the plot twists further. An anonymous observer suggests that the bruised area is indicative of an intravenous drug use rather than just an unfortunate golf mishap. The murmurings grow louder, echoing suspicions about the president's ability to lead. Images surface showing him struggling on a golf course, raising even more eyebrows regarding his physical condition. Medical experts propose diagnoses ranging from chronic venous insufficiency to more serious heart issues. As the official narrative tries to provide clarity, a cloud of suspicion looms larger. Unsettling questions begin to emerge. What if the president's health is far worse than his team lets on? Amid silence from the White House, speculations grow, and even religious figures express concern for Trump's well-being. Behind the scenes, political machinations unfold. Vice President J. Devens, only 40, becomes a focal point in discussions about presidential succession. Speculation around a potential power shift grows, while Trump's health casts a long shadow over American politics, leading to volatile financial markets and stirring unrest among investors. In tandem, international relations swirl as the world watches closely. Amidst all the uncertainty surrounding Trump's health, the narrative of America being a declining power gains traction, with China and Russia presenting themselves as alternative centers of influence, while the U.S. battles the internal fallout of made-up rumors and real-world insecurities. This ongoing saga raises the stakes in a game where every rumor and every twist may redefine the landscape, both politically and socially. Is the reality of governance rapidly slipping away, masked by vague statements and unanswered questions? As the story unfolds, the question remains, just how fragile is the leadership at the top? What lies beneath the surface of a seemingly resilient political facade? The clock ticks on, raising the uncertainty and drama to fever pitch as the nation holds its breath. In Washington, discussions of a rebellious alliance began to surface, hinting at a potential expansion of mutual defense agreements. Reuters urgently reported, if new elements are added to the already signed treaties between Russia and North Korea, as well as between China and Pyongyang, the balance of power in Asia will shift dramatically. This shift occurred against the backdrop of Trump's steadfast isolationist stance, leaving Japan and South Korea to navigate the complexities of their own security architecture alone. French publication Le Figaro summarized the situation poignantly: world history is increasingly being written beyond the West. 20 leaders, representing half of the planet's population and a quarter of the global economy, are betting on a model where Europe and the United States are merely parts of the whole, not the epicenter. This realization struck a painful chord for Paris and Berlin, who had long viewed themselves as arbiters of global processes. The Berlin press picked up another theme, highlighting Xi's assertion that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, has indeed established a new model of international relations. In his opening speech, the Chinese leader described contemporary politics as chaotic and convoluted, emphasizing that the spirit of Shanghai empowers nations to withstand external pressures and foster cooperation. Putin echoed Xi's sentiments, adding specific details as he remarked on the shift to national currencies and mutual trade, asserting that this was not merely a declaration but a fact that lays the groundwork for the future financial architecture of Eurasia. This statement resonated powerfully, especially as the euro reached a minimum value not seen in years, while the dollar's share in SCO transactions dropped below 50% for the first time. Chinese media highlighted Xi's emphasis on the resilience of Moscow and Beijing's relationship, stressing the importance of maintaining high-level contact and expanding areas of cooperation. Against the backdrop of trade wars initiated by Trump targeting not just China, but also India and Brazil, these declarations appeared to welcome all those weary of American impositions into this new alliance. Have you ever considered the possibility of a world order reshaped by unexpected alliances? In the heart of geopolitical maneuvering, the whispers of discontent are spreading like wildfire. The recent parade in Beijing, starring Kim Jong-un, signals a multifaceted challenge to Western dominance. As whispers become roars, who will emerge as the true architect of this new dawn? Trump's isolationist policies are leaving allies, like Japan and South Korea, to fend for themselves. Accusations of a rebellious axis are rising. Is there a game plan unfolding that could shift global power dynamics? The implications of a new framework led by China and Russia are echoing in boardrooms and government halls across the world. Engulfed in speculation, isn't it the role of the media to sift through these disturbances? The portrayal of a new alliance, illustrated starkly by the Russian and North Korean pacts, is compelling. The currency discussions at the SCO summit might seem technical, but they mark a seismic shift, one that could redefine interactions on the global stage, eclipsing the old order. Xi's insightful commentary about cooperation amidst chaos gives us much to ponder. As he called for deeper ties, one must consider, what does this mean for the U.S.? Were these simply platitudes, or do they signal trouble ahead for American interests? As financial markets react, the underlying tension and anticipation are palpable. As we delve deeper into the power struggles unfolding before us, the question lingers: will Trump's isolation lead to a new era of governance, or will it sow the seeds of his own political downfall? Stay tuned as this narrative unfolds, revealing the shocking interplay of power, politics, and international relations, where every decision could lead to ramifications we never saw coming. In a dramatic twist of events, the political landscape in the United States began to tremble, not due to foreign affairs or policies but because of health concerns regarding President Donald Trump. A simple photograph showing Trump shaking hands with South Korean leader Lee Jae-myung revealed a sizable bruise on the back of his hand. Speculations mushroomed around this image, spiraling into fears of an impending political crisis. As more than a week passed without Trump appearing in public, roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were closed, leading to rampant rumors about his health. With the public's curiosity piqued, theories of a severe illness surfaced across social media platforms as if a chilling horror story was unfolding right before their eyes. A Chinese portal even questioned whether Trump had merely 6 months left to live, accompanied by alarming images of the bruise. The British press added a touch of drama, suggesting Trump was hiding a hematoma under makeup while avoiding using his hand during official duties. Concerns intensified as journalists and onlookers began to observe visible swelling around his ankles. In this frenzy of speculation, social media grew restless, echoing ideas of heart failure and circulation problems. Amid the swirling controversies, one user pointedly noted that the bruise had persisted for several months. "It's clearly severe," they declared. The theories ran wild, fueled by mysteries and conjectures while the White House struggled to quench the flames of suspicion. Official statements claimed Trump had undergone thorough examinations, pointing to chronic venous insufficiency, a condition that is commonplace for people over 70. This diagnosis seemed far too trivial to silence the outcry from the public. Amid these growing uncertainties, Trump's public absence was unsettling, igniting fears of his capability to fulfill his duties. The vice president's remarks about being ready to take over in case of tragedy sent shivers down spines. The media buzzed with speculation about governmental instability and a potential power vacuum. Financial markets reacted sharply. The Dow Jones plummeted, and gold prices soared, as investors played safe amid swirling rumors that the nation stood on the brink of political upheaval. Notably, while Trump tweeted optimistic messages about his golf game, his absence only deepened the mystery surrounding his health. As the public consumed the sensational narrative surrounding Trump, discussions turned from economic budgets to health concerns, diverting attention from crucial fiscal matters. One bruise had reshaped the focus of the national dialogue, a reminder that in the world of politics, every detail can spark a firestorm of speculation. As tension mounted, unexpected reflections arose. If Trump indeed struggled, what would that mean for the future leadership of the nation? It opened a new chapter of dramatic discussions and deep inquiries. With each rumor twisting the narrative, the people were left to ponder, what secrets lie beneath the surface of political spectacles? How much truth exists in the shadows that loom over power? In the previous chapter, we saw how, despite Western scoffs and dismissal, the reality on the ground told a different story. While some mocked the meeting of two strongmen, calling it a mere display of authoritarian camaraderie, the facts unfolded with startling clarity. Agreements worth billions were inked quietly but decisively behind the scenes, signaling a deepening partnership with far-reaching consequences. Now, let's dive into the heart of that unexpected twist. Many rushed to label this summit as a routine, ceremonial visit. Others swore that Beijing would never sacrifice its fragile ties with Washington just to cozy up with Moscow. But reality had a way of defying optimistic theories. New pipelines were under construction, liquefied natural gas exports surged, and joint ventures in aviation and space exploration were no longer just ideas on a whiteboard, they were becoming concrete projects. Universities across both nations were welcoming a growing number of students from the other side, fostering a new generation of cultural and technical exchange. Numbers tell the story better than words. In 2024, trade between Russia and China surpassed a staggering $240 billion. That's a 40% increase compared to 2021. This isn't just symbolic, it's a massive engine of real jobs and economic stability on both sides of the border. And what's truly revealing is how Western readers themselves began questioning the sanitized narratives pushed by official media. Comments flooded forums like Yahoo, with some lamenting how American tyranny ruined a once promising friendship. Others openly accused right-wing politicians of stoking conflicts, justifying preemptive strikes, and dreaming of nuclear escalation. Of course, these voices don't represent entire societies, but they illuminate a critical fracture. The West no longer holds a monopoly on interpreting events. People see the parade footage, they digest the trade statistics, and they start asking the blunt questions. If Russia is truly isolated, then who is signing these contracts? Who is building those factories and launching joint ventures? The numbers don't lie. The share of the US dollar in Russia-China transactions has plummeted from 70% down to just 10%. Meanwhile, the yuan's role has exploded, now representing over half of all trade settlements. Back in 2015, the yuan was barely 3% of their cross-border dealings. A seismic financial shift took place in just 10 years, one that Western analysts can barely rationalize. Their predictions about a return to dollar dominance sound as fantastical as alchemists promising to turn lead into gold with a mere incantation. What does this mean for global power structures? Can the old guard maintain their grip when the economic bedrock is shifting beneath their feet? The lines are being redrawn, and the silent forces behind these changes could reshape the world order forever. but that's just the surface. While the global chess game unfolds, back in Washington and Moscow, unspoken tensions simmer, alliances strain, and the stakes rise higher with every passing day. What surprises will this new economic alliance unleash? Will it topple long-standing hierarchies? Or is this the calm before a storm unlike any before? The answers lie hidden, just out of sight, waiting for the moment when the chessboard tilts irreversibly. In a world where whispers and speculation can shift political landscapes, the recent health concerns surrounding a prominent figure have ignited a firestorm of controversy and intrigue. The once unshakable presence of a leader has come under scrutiny, with a single photograph sparking a cascade of rumors that threaten to reshape the political scene. Why does a simple bruise on the arm stir fears of a looming crisis? The photograph, capturing an uncharacteristically bruised hand of Donald Trump as he shakes hands with South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol, has sent shockwaves across the media landscape. This was not just a casual snapshot, it was the catalyst for a relentless wave of speculation. The bruise became a symbol of vulnerability for a leader who has been a constant in American politics, inciting debates and discussions about his health and capability. The image alone was enough to send the rumor mill into overdrive. For over a week, Trump stayed out of the public eye, prompting fans and foes alike to speculate wildly about his condition. Roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were closed, fueling fears that the president was gravely ill. Could he finish his term? The buzz around the bruise escalated, with headlines shouting warnings of a potential political crisis, as if a bruise could topple a regime. Some media outlets went so far as to suggest that his health could be so compromised that he had only 6 months left. Was this merely a dramatic spin, or was there more to the story? The British press added fuel to the fire, suggesting he was covering up an even more serious condition. Reports detailed that the president had been seen having difficulty on the golf course, portraying a picture of a leader struggling with health issues in stark contrast to his proclaimed vigor. As observers compared the bruises on Trump's arm to patterns typically associated with intravenous injections, speculation reached a fever pitch. Could this hand injury suggest something more sinister? Rhetorical questions filled forums. What if this injury was a sign of something deeper? As the public and media individuals drew their conclusions, the White House scrambled to provide reassurances. They insisted Trump underwent extensive examinations, and a diagnosis of chronic venous insufficiency was mentioned as a common occurrence in older adults. Yet, such a diagnosis only brought forth more skepticism. Was this a well-crafted narrative to downplay a serious issue? Or was it more than that? Could there be a conspiracy at play? The administration's responses felt like smokescreens rather than solutions. In the shadows loomed concerns about the vice president, J.D. Vance's preparedness to take the reins if tragedy struck, injecting an unsettling sense of instability into the air. The political climate became increasingly charged. As discussions around Trump's condition surged, international tensions simmered quietly on the back burner. A whirlwind of economic ramifications ensued, spurred by fears of instability from Wall Street to the everyday investor. Was the market merely reacting to gossipy headlines? Or was the threat of loss enough to send financial tsunamis through the economy? Trump, unable to evade public scrutiny, resurfaced on social media with a proud display of his golfing escapades, but it was too late. The atmosphere had thickened with doubt. People began to question whether they were witnessing the slow unraveling of a political titan. The compost pile of rumors had taken root, creating an atmosphere filled with both dread and intrigue. Amid such uncertainty, the stark reality was that the United States was being torn between the myths of strength and the reality of mortality. As one riddle surfaced, another emerged, leaving the nation in a grip of suspense. What comes next in this political tableau, and will the truth ever come to light? In a shocking twist on the global stage, rumors have ignited about the well-being of a prominent leader. Speculation surrounds the health of President Donald Trump, triggered by a seemingly innocuous photograph. As he shakes hands with South Korea's leader, a substantial bruise blooms on the back of Trump's hand, igniting a whirlwind of speculation. Could this bruise signal a looming political crisis? For over a week, the public has been left in the dark regarding Trump's whereabouts. Roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were blocked, fueling conjectures of the president's deteriorating health, with whispers that he might not fulfill his term. The media frenzy intensified. It felt like a narrative worthy of a national drama, with various outlets reporting that he had only 6 months to live, reinforcing the visual impact of the bruised hand, which dominates nearly half its surface. The British press playfully added their flair, alleging that Trump attempted to conceal the bruise with makeup while signing documents. Observers have noted that similar marks were seen months ago, initially dismissed by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt as mere effects of aspirin usage from his habit of greeting countless people. However, the bruise's distinct shape did not escape speculation. Could it have been from intravenous drug use instead of just a golf injury? As authorities clumsily attempted to clarify the circumstances, suspicion mounted. Not only was the bruise troubling, but swelling in Trump's ankles captured the attention of journalists and bystanders alike. Social media erupted with theories, some suggesting heart failure or circulatory issues. One sharp-eyed commenter highlighted the bruise's length and peculiar shape, resembling marks left from 4 injections. As the conspiracy theories proliferated, the White House tried to maintain calm. Leavitt stated that the president underwent comprehensive examinations, revealing chronic venous insufficiency, common in those over 70, yet no signs of deep vein thrombosis were detected. This attempt to reassure the public only seemed to escalate anxiety. How could such a benign diagnosis account for the whirlwind of mounting doubts? Trump's energetic proclamations about his health contrasted sharply with videos of him laboring to walk on a golf course. Surprising revelations emerged, from knee issues to joint pain, drawing comparisons to athletes' ailments. Medical experts weighed in, suggesting potential conditions from jumper's knee to neurological complications, heightening the intrigue around his health status. Meanwhile, the backdrop of this unfolding drama underscores the growing concern over America's stability, with Vice President J. Devens, only 40 years old, now thrust into the spotlight as speculation about a potential succession began. His offhand remarks about stepping in if tragedy struck set alarm bells ringing throughout the media landscape. Could this be the first sign of a seismic shift in leadership? As Trump's health issues unfolded, his foreign policy agenda momentarily slipped into the shadows, overshadowed by questions about his vitality. Just before the speculation intensified, Trump had taped a vibrant post on Truth Social about his golf game. Ironically, it seemed to distance himself from a clear lack of public appearances, fueling rumors and anxiety among his supporters and critics alike. In the crevices of European media, tensions flared as Trump's absence from public life became ripe fodder for speculation on power vacuums. Fellow nations, watching anxiously, began to reconsider their positions. After all, a leader's health is inextricably linked to their country's direction. Amidst secret reports of Trump being weak and falling apart, debates about the implications of his continued leadership echoed through the halls of power. Could this be the moment that alters the tide of political allegiance? As the situation escalates, investors braced themselves amidst fears that a single rumor could collapse markets. For every claim of strength, the undertow of doubt grew stronger, revealing a fragile balance between power and perception, leadership and reality. With each passing day, the stakes rise, setting the stage for an unfolding narrative that might reshape the future. In a gripping tale set against the backdrop of American politics, a new wave of rumors begins to swell, focusing on the health of President Donald Trump. Unlike previous controversies fueled by foreign policy blunders or outrageous statements, this turmoil arises from a seemingly innocuous photograph. In the image, Trump shakes hands with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, but it's a large bruise on the back of his hand that ignites speculation of an impending political crisis. With Trump absent from public view for over a week, roads surrounding Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were closed. Whispers spread like wildfire across social media, suggesting that the president was gravely ill and might not serve out his term. The situation escalated dramatically. Even a platform from China asked, "Is his time really down to just 6 months?" alongside images that highlighted the bruise nearly consuming the back of Trump's hand. British tabloids added a flare of intrigue claiming that Trump was using makeup to hide his hematoma, attempting to discreetly shield his injury during signings. Republican Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt assured the public that the bruise was merely from routine handshakes and the side effects of aspirin. Yet, as scrutiny mounted, many observers began to suspect a more sinister cause. An alarming theory emerged: the bruise bore a striking resemblance to a site where intravenous drugs might be administered. Vigorous debates populated forums and comment sections, with one user declaring, "This isn't just a golf injury. The strange shape indicates underlying damage." As the questions persisted, the White House struggled to maintain calm amid growing concerns, with photos revealing not only the bruise but also noticeable swelling in Trump's ankles captured by astute journalists and curious onlookers. Was it merely aging, or something more ominous? Concerns shifted from a simple bruise to discussions about possible heart failure and issues with blood circulation. The struggle was palpable. Was the president, often seen as the fearless leader, now vulnerable? The metaphorical spotlight shifted to Vice President J.D. Vance, whose potential leadership during a tragic turn of events sparked even more absurd discussions. What would America do if their commander-in-chief became incapacitated? As domestic tension brewed, the international stage lurked behind the scenes. Trump, once a crusader against Russian oil imports and tariff enforcement, suddenly found the world pivoting away from his narrative. As photographs of blocked roads circulated, Wall Street reacted by plunging 15%, sending shockwaves through the financial sector. Investors scrambled to mitigate risks as rumors surged. India, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, and South Africa capitalized on the chaos, leaning into agreements with Russia, China, and Washington, gleefully playing one power against another. Amidst these swirling winds of uncertainty, America grappled with a looming choice. Would they cling to the familiar narrative of Western superiority, or embrace new ground realities dictating the need for change? Can a leader who appears physically unfit still wield power in today's political arena? As the rumors intensified and the stakes grew higher, one question hung in the air: what was truly happening with Donald Trump, and could the nation's future hang in the balance? With the atmosphere thick with tension, the political implications of an aging leader, reflective of a country at a crossroads, unfurled. As one faction pointed fingers at another for hiding the truth, could history repeat itself in dangerous ways? Stay tuned, because the next chapter in this saga promises a thrilling ride into the heart of suspense, revealing the truth one shocking twist at a time. In a moment of unprecedented intrigue, a wave of rumors has enveloped the United States, centering around the health of former President Donald Trump. For the first time in years, the political arena has been shaken, not by policies or speeches, but by a single photograph showing Trump shaking hands with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, revealing a large bruise on the back of his hand. This startling image was enough to ignite speculation of an impending political crisis. Trump had been noticeably absent from public life for over a week. Roads around Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were blocked, and frantic whispers filled the air about his deteriorating health. What was behind this unexplained disappearance? Was he concealing a serious condition that could prevent him from completing his term? The speculation spread like wildfire, with a Chinese portal publishing a bold headline questioning whether Trump had merely 6 months left to live, flaunting pictures that emphasized the alarming bruise. British outlets added to the drama, suggesting that the president might be covering up the hematoma with makeup. Suffice it to say, the media frenzy escalated, fueled by a collective curiosity bordering on fear. As the narrative unfolded, more troubling details emerged. Observers noted not just the bruise, but also significant swelling in Trump's ankles, leading to further escalating worries about his health. Online forums buzzed with theories of heart failure and circulatory issues. The more the White House officials attempted to clarify the situation, the more the public's unease grew. What if he were unable to fulfill his duties? The thought alone sent shockwaves through political circles. Meanwhile, Trump supporters clung to any notion that he was still in top shape, as a pastor even took to social media to pray for the president's health, intensifying the sense of urgency around the topic. Could this be the moment the party shifts? Amidst this maelstrom, another revelation occurred. The stock markets reacted sharply as rumors spread, with the Dow Jones dropping 15% on the day images of blocked roads emerged. Gold prices soared, reaching their highest levels in 6 months as investors raced to secure their assets. It was a vivid reflection of the escalating crisis, one that had rapidly morphed from mere whispers into a roaring storm threatening to engulf the political landscape. As Trump attempted to project confidence through a post about golf on his social media platform, his absence from public view only heightened tensions. Americans found themselves caught in a cyclone of mixed messages. Were the reports of his well-being genuine, or mere façade? Did the government hold back information, aiming to mask deeper issues? This intriguing saga not only encompassed potential health concerns but spun into broader implications for the stability of the nation. As discussions progressed, comparisons with past presidents surfaced. Was Trump following in the footsteps of leaders who had concealed their health issues from the public? The whispers grew louder, creating an atmosphere ripe for conspiracy theories and political maneuvering. Ironically, while the focus shifted to Trump's health, critical discussions surrounding budget allocations and national expenditures faded into the background. Was this mere coincidence, or a calculated distraction? And as the world watched and waited, the question loomed large: how long could the facade of strength be maintained in the face of such uncertainty? As the narrative unfolded, many began to see a stark parallel with global tensions, where narratives can change with a single image, igniting fires of uncertainty that could engulf even the most steadfast political figures. Amid this tumultuous backdrop, emerged Japan's own predicament. Amid rising militarism, a similar sentiment of distrust emerged in society. Citizens questioned their leadership and the international powers at play, drawing a line between national pride and foreign intrusions. A realization dawned: the political game has far-reaching consequences, and the stakes have never been higher. In a shocking twist, a new wave of rumors has ignited in the United States, centering around the health of former President Donald Trump. For the first time in ages, the political arena trembles, not from diplomatic decisions or bold announcements, but from a candid photo capturing Trump shaking hands with South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. On the back of his hand lies a large bruise, and suddenly, speculation erupts about a looming political crisis. Trump has been out of public view for over a week. Roads surrounding the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were blocked, escalating theories that the former president is gravely ill and may not finish his term. These rumors spread like wildfire, taking on the magnitude of a real national incident. A Chinese news outlet even hinted he has only 6 months to live, accompanying their article with images that starkly depict the bruise, which nearly dominates the back of his hand. British outlets further fanned the flames, asserting that Trump might be covering up the hematoma with makeup and was seen shielding his hand while signing documents. NBC reminded everyone that such marks were spotted as far back as August last year, when White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt insisted the bruising was a result of aspirin use and the president's habit of shaking hundreds of hands. But eyebrows were raised when it was suggested that the bruise might not stem from golf or minor household injuries. Observant commentators noted the bruise's peculiar shape, resembling a spot commonly associated with intravenous treatment. One user said, "This isn't from golf. The shape is too strange, the skin looks damaged." Another added, "Those markings are typical for patients getting injections." As officials attempted to quell the mounting concerns, the investigation transformed into public scrutiny. The White House faced unending questions and doubts about both the bruise and Trump's noticeably swollen ankles, documented by journalists and bystanders alike. Discussions swirled on forums and social media, linking his symptoms to serious issues like heart failure and circulatory problems. One bold user declared, "The bruise has persisted for months. Along with the swelling, it indicates a grave condition." A representative from the White House, Caroline Leavitt, disclosed that Trump underwent extensive examinations, reporting a diagnosis of chronic venous insufficiency, common in individuals over 70. While she asserted no signs of deep vein thrombosis or arterial diseases were detected, such assurances only sparked more public indignation. Surely, that diagnosis seemed too banal to address rising suspicions. Leavitt claimed the former president felt great, but footage of Trump struggling to walk on a golf course surfaced, counteracting that claim. March footage ignited fresh discussions, with speculations revolving around knee issues, joint pain, and even neurological disorders. British sports doctor Aaron Gray suggested Trump might have jumper's knee, a condition where both knees bend inward, a diagnosis sounding far less dire than heart failure but more compelling to the public's imagination. What further fueled disbelief was the stark juxtaposition of public statements about Trump's health compared to the reality. The White House remained vague, often providing generalized reassurances of the president's wellness while avoiding detailed medical reports. Each ambiguous statement fanned the flames of suspicion, feeding a society accustomed to openness and scandal. As uncertainty swirled, discussions around national stability surged. If Trump were indeed incapable of performing his presidential duties, Vice President J. Devens, only 40 years old, would step into the spotlight as a possible successor. His earlier statements about stepping in if tragedy struck were seized upon by the media, suggesting an impending shift in power, though no formal actions were initiated. Internationally, amidst these rumors, Trump's recent stand against oil purchases from Russia and pressure on India to adopt sanctions faded into the background as health concerns overshadowed official policy discussions. Strikingly, even Asian media hinted at blaming Putin for Trump's condition, encapsulating a comical take on global politics. No doubt, this ethos of crisis played well on the public stage. While the financial markets reacted predictably, stocks plummeting and gold prices soaring, the ghost of uncertainty loomed heavily over the nation. The political chess game continued, with Trump's absence creating ripples that echoed through every corner of Washington. As debates over spending and budgetary concerns blurred into the background, Trump's health became a captivating narrative that shifted public focus. However, what remained undeniably clear was the unsettling shadow now hanging over Trump. The responses to his disappearance revealed a nation grappling with profound doubts about its leadership. Would the political landscape transform again? Would this wave of speculation push the country into new territories, where truths are slowly unveiled, and trust is further eroded? Time, as always, will tell. As whispers swirl like a tempest across the political landscape, a new wave of speculation grips the nation, this time rattling the very foundations of the White House. The focus? President Donald Trump's health. Imagine this, a stark image captures the moment as Trump shakes hands with South Korean leader Lee Jae-myung. On the back of Trump's hand, a scandalous bruise glimmers ominously, igniting a frenzy of rumors. The shockwaves ripple across social media and news outlets, sparking debates and discussions. Could this bruise signify the onset of a political crisis? With Trump absent from public view for over a week, and roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center blocked, the uncertainty thickens. Speculations explode. Could the president be grappling with a serious illness that might end his term prematurely? As the tension escalates, the Chinese portal NSNT sensationalizes the event, suggesting he has mere months left, amplifying fears with shocking images showcasing the bruise, nearly consuming his palm. The British press joins the fray, alleging that Trump is coyly covering up his condition with makeup while signing critical documents. NBC reminds the audience that such markings were noted as far back as last August, a detail the White House initially dismissed as mere side effects of aspirin and a busy handshake routine. However, could there be more to this bruise? Observers begin to unravel startling theories. Some suggest its shape is eerily reminiscent of intravenous drug use. As comments flood in, the reactions are explosive. This injury does not stem from golf, one user states confidently. Soon, allegations of heart failure, circulation problems, and blood pressure issues circulate like wildfire, dragging the public into a spiraling vortex of conjecture and alarm. With each passing moment, and attempts from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to clarify, the suspicion burgeons even more. Although she asserts that Trump had a thorough examination dismissing any severe conditions, the public's imaginations run wild. Could an unsettling truth lurk behind the official façade? The crescendo of the narrative amplifies. Anecdotes from journalists and spectators chronicle visible swelling in Trump's ankles. The tension is electric, suffocating, as Americans begin to speculate what lies beneath the surface. Political opponents seize the moment, leveraging Trump's vulnerable position to question his fitness for office. Investors react sharply. The Dow Jones plunges 15% in response to the rumors, and gold prices surge, reflecting the pervasive anxiety gripping the nation. At this very moment of disquiet, Trump emerges, tweeting about his golf game, donning that unmistakable golden cap adorned with American symbols, an attempt to project normalcy in a swirling storm of uncertainty. Yet, a week passes, and silence blankets the air. As the media probes deeper into the president's well-being and the facts remain shrouded, Americans tune in, ears perked for any slip, while speculation intensifies over the fate of his administration. Intriguingly, the narrative turns as whispers about Vice President J. Devens' readiness for leadership begin to circulate, igniting discussions fraught with implications of transition and instability. With murmurs of a possible power vacuum, global contexts fade into the background, tantalizingly overshadowed by domestic turmoil. Amid this backdrop of uncertainty lingers a relentless question that gnaws at the edges of political caricatures. What happens when a president's presence becomes elusive, and the vice president's leadership appears a lingering shadow? As rumors swirl, the entire political atmosphere is infused with uncertainty, setting the stage for a drama far more complex than anyone could have predicted. The public's insatiable curiosity compels them to seek answers amid the cacophony of voices, leaving everyone to ponder. Can a nation's confidence withstand the precarious threads of secrecy entangling its leaders? Imagine a nation gripped not by foreign policy scandals or fiery speeches, but by a single photograph, a close-up of a bruise on the president's hand. This image of Donald Trump shaking hands with South Korea's leader sent shockwaves across the United States. The bruise, dark and ominous, sparked a wildfire of rumors about his health, just as he vanished from public view for over a week. Roads near the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were barricaded, fueling whispers of a looming political crisis. The speculation spread like wildfire. A major Chinese news portal boldly asked if Trump had only 6 months left to live, publishing pictures where the bruise seemed to cover half his hand. British tabloids added their own flair, claiming the president tried to conceal the mark with makeup and guarded his hand during document signings. NBC recalled that similar marks appeared last August, which the White House dismissed as aspirin side effects combined with the strain of shaking hundreds of hands daily. But something felt off. Observers noticed the bruise's unusual shape, resembling the site of an intravenous injection rather than a golf mishap or a simple bump. One commenter insisted, "This isn't a golf injury. The mark's shape is strange, and the skin looks damaged." Another added, "These are signs of 4 injections in veins." The president tried to hide the truth but failed spectacularly. And here's where the plot thickens. With every official attempt to explain, suspicions only deepened. Journalists, photographers, even bystanders spotted swelling around Trump's ankles. The public transformed into a medical jury, piecing together symptoms. Online forums buzzed with theories: heart failure, circulatory problems, blood pressure disorders. One user wrote confidently, "The bruise hasn't faded for months. Combined with swelling, it screams serious illness." The White House had to respond. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt assured the public that the president. In a dramatic shift, rumors are swirling in the United States, igniting speculation about President Donald Trump's health. A seemingly innocuous photo of him shaking hands with South Korea's leader has become a battleground for political discourse. A noticeable bruise on Trump's hand has led to whispers of a potential political crisis, drawing the nation's attention away from routine affairs to focus on his well-being. For more than a week, Trump has been absent from public view. Roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were blocked off, leading to dire theories about his health circulating across social media. The image of his injured hand sent shockwaves through news channels, with one Chinese outlet publishing a provocative piece claiming he had only 6 months left to live. A photograph accompanying this article prominently featured the bruise stretching across the back of his hand, adding fuel to the fire. The UK press has not been shy either, alleging that Trump might be using makeup to conceal a deep hematoma, while insisting on hiding his hand when signing documents. Reflecting back, NBC reported similar marks on his arm last August, with Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt attributing it to the aftermath of regular aspirin intake and a habit of shaking hands excessively. Suddenly, conjecture takes a sharp turn. Observers suggest the bruise appears too distinctive for a mere golfing mishap. One user boldly claimed that injury isn't from golf. It has a strange shape, and the skin looks damaged. Another opined, "These marks are typical for patients receiving intravenous injections." It seems as though Trump's attempt to veil the truth is slipping away. The more the White House officials struggled to clarify the situation, the louder the skepticism grew. Swollen ankles were reported by journalists and bystanders, leading to ominous theories about heart problems and circulatory issues spreading like wildfire across forums and social media platforms. One commenter sternly noted, "The bruise on his arm hasn't faded for months." Paired with the swelling, this is clearly indicative of a serious illness. Of course, the official response couldn't ignore these discussions. Leavitt announced that the president underwent extensive examinations revealing chronic venous insufficiency, which she emphasized is common among those over 70. Yet, such a trivial diagnosis did little to satisfy the mounting curiosity surrounding Trump's health. Despite assurances of his general well-being, footage surfaced showing him dragging his leg across the golf course, which undercut any claims of vitality. What began as a concerning physical ailment spiraled into wild theories about knee problems, arthritis, and even neurological disorders. A British sports doctor suggested that the president suffers from jumper's knee, a condition where knees involuntarily bend inward. Though it lacked the gravitas of heart failure, public belief gravitated toward this unsettling interpretation. As official explanations falter, social media users are quick to piece together the puzzle: swollen legs, chronic venous issues, and vascular complications paint an alarming picture, starkly contrasting Trump's claims of feeling the best he ever has. Rumors intensified when Vice President Joe Biden announced his readiness to step in if necessary, capturing the attention of the nation. Speculative questions loom over the power dynamics of the U.S. as financial markets reacted sharply. The Dow Jones Index plummeted by 15% when images of cordoned-off hospital roads broke online, fueling further anxiety among investors. Meanwhile, Trump attempted to dismiss concerns with a lively post about his golf game and proudly donned a gold cap adorned with the American flag. Amid this backdrop of speculation, intrigue grows. The disconnect between reassuring government statements and the pervasive public doubt reveals much about the fragility of political perceptions in America. As discussions of Trump's health gain momentum, comparisons arise with previous leaders who concealed their ailments, suggesting a harrowing political reality ahead. In the midst of this swirling chaos, the governing narratives pivot away from the typical. As Trump's health remains a constant source of speculation, one question lingers: will this become a pivotal moment in shaping the future of American leadership? The air thickens with anticipation as America, wrapped in uncertainty, braces for what might follow. Amid rumors that sweep through the United States, the health of a notable figure, former President Donald Trump, ignites curiosity and concern. While the political arena usually buzzes with policy debates, this time it centers around a casual handshake caught in a photograph, revealing a concerning bruise on Trump's hand. The shot sparks speculation regarding his health, as whispers turn into roars. Could he be facing a critical political crisis? For over a week, Trump remained out of the public eye, raising eyebrows as roads leading to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were closed off. The internet became a hotbed for theories illustrating a dire situation, questioning whether the president could complete his term. Observers and analysts raced to imaginative conclusions fueled largely by the simple yet alarming image of Trump's hand, now marked with an unsettling bruise nearly dominating its surface. In a dramatic twist, British media suggested that the former president was attempting to conceal this noticeable hematoma with makeup, dodging exposure while signing crucial documents. The media frenzy amplified when reports emerged citing similar injuries from the previous August, where Trump had been shaking hands relentlessly, further teasing the possibility of a serious underlying condition. The situation escalated, bringing unsettling conjectures from various corners, with observers speculating that the bruise might be linked to intravenous drug administration rather than casual accidents or golf-related injuries. The commentary intensified, viewers analyzed every detail, drawing attention to Trump's swollen ankles and indicating potential circulatory issues. Even a medical professional delicately suggested a diagnosis of chronic venous insufficiency. A term was immediately met with rising public alarm. Despite official reassurances from the White House, skepticism lingered, fueled by the president's strange absence from public events. As rumors swept through social media, citizens began connecting dots between Trump's health, swollenness, and overall capability to fulfill his responsibilities. Echoing wider sentiments, insiders worried aloud about what this would mean if Trump could no longer lead. The vice president's readiness to step in birthed even more intense discussions around presidential succession, piercing through the murky waters of party politics. Against this backdrop, market responses pulsed, stocks dived, and gold surged as anxieties gripped investors. The chaotic dance between public trust, health transparency, and political stability became a source of fervent nationwide discourse. All this unfolded while Trump tried to reassure the nation with boisterous updates about his golf game, contrasting sharply with the prevailing uncertainty. As weeks progressed without significant public appearances, speculation morphed into frustration, with citizens demanding answers. Comparisons between Trump's situation and past presidents shifted focus from political policy to individual health, prompting discussions reminiscent of previous leadership crises. Amid swirling rumors and hesitant reports, many began to wonder, who is really running the nation? In tandem, international discourse reflected a shifting power dynamic, with speculations about foreign policy mishaps cropping up alongside concerns about Trump's stability. The narrative surrounding his health now intertwined with looming questions over U.S. governance. Would America withstand this potential upheaval? The conversation became charged, age, capability, and expectations collided with a backdrop steeped in distrust. Every flicker of news sent waves through social media, resonating with those hungry for information amidst the uncertainty. In a nation accustomed to clear updates, the cloud of the unknown shrouded both Trump and his administration. With tangible stakes, the matter was increasingly urgent. As Americans sought clarity, the specter of deep political consequences loomed ever larger. Would Trump's silence spell the end of an era? Who, if anyone, would emerge to fill the void in leadership? The truth remained elusive, casting a long shadow on the future of American politics. In recent times, whispers have swirled across the United States about President Donald Trump's health, igniting a firestorm of speculation. The political arena, usually brimming with policy debates and international strategies, found itself rejuvenated, not by bold speeches or diplomatic maneuvers, but rather by a photograph. A casual moment shared between Trump and South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung revealed a shocking bruise on the back of Trump's hand, setting off alarm bells. The image fueled national debates that reverberated from newsrooms to social media, as citizens questioned the president's fitness to serve. For over a week, Trump had remained largely out of the public eye, prompting conspiracy theorists to suggest he was seriously ill and perhaps unfit to complete his term. The scene was agitated further by blocked roads surrounding Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, sparking rampant rumors of a looming political crisis. As rumors permeated the air, fears escalated. A hastily published article suggested Trump had only 6 months to live, illustrated with images highlighting the stark bruise claiming nearly half of his hand. International media added layers of drama to the narrative, claiming he attempted to conceal a hematoma with makeup. Past comments from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, downplaying the injury as a mere consequence of routine handshakes, seemed increasingly hollow. Observers began to speculate that the bruise might not simply be from a clumsy golf swing or household mishap. The peculiar shape led some to whisper about intravenous drug use. As tension mounted, officials scrambled to clarify the situation. Leavitt asserted Trump had undergone thorough examinations, revealing chronic venous insufficiency, a common ailment among older adults, but assured the public that there were no signs of deep vein thrombosis or arterial issues. Despite her reassurance that he felt great, the public remained skeptical. The disconnect between official statements and Trump's public appearances, particularly concerning his limping gait on the golf course, exacerbated suspicion and scrutiny. In the backdrop of these escalating health concerns, Trump's absence from public events took a more sinister tone. His recent post about his golfing exploits on Truth Social seemed a desperate attempt to quell rising fears, yet it only deepened the unease. The stakes were high. If Trump were unable to fulfill his duties, the spotlight would shift to the comparatively youthful Vice President Jay Devins, drawing sharp scrutiny as discussions of succession began to bubble beneath the surface. With fiscal matters overshadowed by health anxieties, the political narrative became a tangled web. The focus on Trump's minor ailment diverted attention from significant budget discussions, replacing important economic conversations with rampant gossip. As speculation swirled and political operatives bickered, one question loomed large: was the president truly well enough to lead, or was the nation on the brink of a new political reality? The eerie silence from the White House fueled the fire, leading to a pivotal moment in American politics where health, governance, and integrity collided in dramatic fashion. The international implications were equally significant. As Trump grappled with questions about his health, his administration's foreign policy decisions lay on shaky ground. One notion persisted: the world was watching and waiting, ready to react to whatever drama unfolded next. In a world teetering on the brink of transformation, whispers of President Trump's health have engulfed the United States in a whirlwind of speculation. Recently, a seemingly innocuous photo, where Trump shakes hands with South Korea's leader, Lee Jae-myung, sparked intense discussion. The large bruise on the back of Trump's hand ignited fears about lurking political turbulence. After a week of silence from the president, the roads leading to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were shut down, stirring theories that he might face an insurmountable health crisis. Rumors burgeoned as if a political storm were brewing. Outlets claimed Trump was gravely ill, with a mere bruise morphing into discussions of a potential crisis in leadership. Supporters were left wondering, could he survive his term? The Chinese portal NSNT even provocatively suggested he had only 6 months to live, showing the bruise nearly swallowing the back of his hand in shocking visuals. As the British media added their flair of drama, reporting that Trump appeared to conceal the bruise under makeup, the intrigue deepened. Journalists recalled previous instances when marks had been seen, and the White House issued assurances that it was merely a result of routine handshakes, a matter of aspirin and athleticism. But skepticism loomed as some observers pointed out the peculiar shape of the bruise. It weren't mere golfing injuries, they argued. One commentator noted, "This isn't from a golf game. The bruise is oddly shaped and the skin appears damaged." Yet, confusion reigned. As White House officials tried to clarify the matter, new concerns arose about Trump's visibly swollen ankles, noted by journalists and casual observers alike. Instead of comforting the public, the official statement seemed fuel to the fire, intensifying scrutiny from a society fixated on health assessments. Conversations surrounding heart problems, circulatory issues, and blood pressure regulation proliferated on social media, where one user confidently remarked, "That bruise hasn't healed for months. It indicates a serious illness." In a surprising twist, Trump spokesperson Caroline Leavitt announced a comprehensive examination revealing chronic venous insufficiency, common for those over 70, she reassured. No signs of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease were discovered. However, this explanation felt overly simplistic amidst swirling doubts. The public's memory of Trump's poor mobility on the golf course, captured on video, contradicted claims of suitability, prompting even more theories about his knees, arthritis, or neurological impairments. The absence of live appearances for over a week heightened public anxiety. As Vice President Jay Devens made cryptic comments about preparedness in case of tragedy, questions multiplied. It was clear that doubts about Trump's capability were not going to dissipate easily, even drawing in a reverberation of concerns for Biden just a year earlier. As Trump's health commentary echoed through divides, financiers reacted immediately. Markets dipped 15% when images of blocked roads emerged, while gold reached a 6-month peak. Investors, wary of instability, refrained from risk as speculation transformed a mere bruise into fodder for countless discussions on America's political future. In a strange irony, while Trump posted updates celebrating his golf game, the vacuum left by his absence in public only added to the mounting tension. Official voices claimed there was nothing amiss, juxtaposed against emerging reports detailing his health assessments and diet. In a nation traditionally favoring transparency, such reticence elicited profound suspicion. What if Trump were unfit to govern? The spotlight suddenly fell on Vice President Jay Devens, only 40, whose readiness to assume the presidency became a point of contention. The very idea of such a transition sent ripples through political discussions and stirred anxieties about leadership continuity. As international dialogues continued, the narrative shifted from a national crisis to emerging alliances. Did the world witness a pivot from American hegemony? Russia and China's cooperation highlighted a strategic partnership, with economic ramifications resonating around the globe, leaving unclear the impact rival nations would have on the United States political landscape. Indeed, as the world watched, the events surrounding Trump unfolded like a political drama. Would he reclaim the narrative or descend into obscurity? Only time would unveil the answers, but the stakes have never been higher. In a shocking twist in American politics, a single photograph ignited a flame of speculation regarding the health of Donald Trump. The image, capturing the president clasping hands with South Korea's leader, revealed a troubling bruise on his palm. This dark mark quickly became a source of rampant rumors following Trump's mysterious week-long absence from the public eye. Roads surrounding the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were suddenly closed, amplifying fears of an impending political crisis. Rumors proliferated. A prominent Chinese news outlet provocatively suggested Trump might have mere months to live, sharing images that exaggerated the bruise to dominate half his hand. The British media took it a step further, claiming he was camouflaging the bruise with makeup during official engagements. NBC revisited Mark's scene on the president last August, attributes dismissed by the White House as mere side effects of aspirin and the fatigue of continuous greetings. But the truth felt elusive. Keen observers noted the bruise's peculiar form, raising eyebrows as it increasingly resembled the result of intravenous therapy instead of innocuous accidents on the golf course. Comments flooded in, "This isn't a sports injury, the mark's peculiar shape suggests something sinister." Another chimed in, "Such impressions are typical of drug use." The president's attempts at concealment failed dramatically. As the administration struggled to reassure the public, doubts grew. Journalists and everyday citizens alike noticed alarming swelling around Trump's ankles. Society transformed into an anxious medical jury, dissecting the symptoms with a feverish intensity. Myriad theories spread through online circles. Could it be heart failure? Circulatory distress? A blood pressure anomaly? One user asserted that bruise has lingered for months. Paired with those swollen ankles, it points to severe illness. Under pressure, the White House couldn't ignore the myriad speculations. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt stepped forward, claiming the president underwent thorough examinations, revealing a diagnosis of chronic venous insufficiency. This condition, she explained, is common in those over 70, assuring everyone no signs of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease were present. Yet, this vague diagnosis only intensified public scrutiny. While Leavitt stated Trump felt fantastic, the video clips portraying him struggling to walk on the golf course contradicted her assurance. Footage from March, featuring the president stumbling, reignited fierce discussions online. Speculation surged regarding knee issues, joint ailments, and even neurological disorders. Renowned British sports physician Aaron Gray suggested Trump might suffer from jumper's knee, where both knees bend inward. This diagnosis, though less dramatic than heart troubles, seemed more plausible to the public. As doubts lingered, commentary swayed towards the veiled intentions behind the White House's responses. The allusion to Trump's health propelled ongoing debates about his capacity to lead. Could he indeed fulfill presidential duties? With Vice President Jay Devon's name surfacing more frequently. Questions arose about the chain of command and potential succession darkened the political atmosphere. Was the country stepping into a vacuum of leadership? Yet, amidst this cacophony of speculation, Trump took to social media to showcase his golf triumphs, posting an image of himself in a golden cap adorned with the American flag, a façade that failed to quell the rising tension. The conflicting narratives played out like a high-stakes drama, keeping Americans on edge. With the media landscape charged with health rumors, it became all too clear that, in politics, nothing is left to chance. As discussions shifted from the nuances of Trump's potential ailments to his broader fiscal policies, the numbers and statistics grew less visible against the striking narrative of impending health crises. What lay hidden in the shadows of political maneuvering? As the days rolled on, unsettling questions clung to the air like a thick fog. What could this mean for the nation's leadership? The clock was ticking, and whispers of uncertainty lingered just beneath the surface. Was this merely the calm before the storm? In a stunning twist, rumors are igniting a wildfire of speculation about the health of President Donald Trump. Picture this: a seemingly innocent handshake with South Korea's leader, Lee Jae-myung, leaves onlookers gasping. A distinctive bruise looms on the back of Trump's hand, serving as a spark that ignites fierce debates from social media to news outlets. Is this just an injury, or could it foreshadow a deeper crisis? The atmosphere thickens as Trump remains out of sight for over a week. Roads near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center are blocked, fueling anxieties that the president may be facing a serious health scare. What if he couldn't finish his term? A Chinese news site sensationalizes the situation, suggesting he may have only months left, accompanied by striking images that amplify fears. Meanwhile, British tabloids enter the fray, reporting that Trump might be covering this bruise with makeup, cleverly concealing his condition during crucial moments. NBC reminds everyone that this is not a new issue. Hints of medical concerns were noted last August, brushed off by the White House as side effects from medication. Still, could this injury hint at something sinister? Observers begin connecting dots, with some suggesting that the bruise bears an uncanny resemblance to injection marks, showcasing a potential issue far more alarming than a simple mishap. As social media erupts in speculation, comments flood in. One user confidently asserts, "This isn't from golf. The shape is too peculiar, that skin looks damaged." Conversations quickly veer towards alarming medical conjectures, heart failure, circulation problems, and more. Every attempt from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to clear up the air only seems to deepen suspicions. He passed comprehensive checks with benign results, she claims, but the public's imagination runs wild. Could a shrouded reality hide behind her words? As reports from journalists note swelling in Trump's ankles, the anxiety deepens, creating an electric tension within the nation. Politically, adversaries exploit the uncertainty, questioning Trump's ability to fulfill his duties. The financial markets respond immediately. The Dow Jones plummets by 15%, while gold prices soar, reflecting the nation's collective anxiety. In contrast, Trump emerges on social media, chirping about his golf game while sporting a shiny "Make America Great Again" cap. It seems like a desperate grasp at normalcy amidst the chaos. Yet, as days turn into silence, the media's scrutiny grows sharper. The rumblings about Vice President J. Divin's potential ascendancy start to circulate, hinting at political vulnerability. A ghost of instability looms, obscuring the international stage. Suddenly, the world feels upside down, questions stack high. What happens when a president's absence creates uncertainty? Can the nation trust in leadership when shadows of doubt stretch ominously over the Oval Office? The atmosphere hums with mounting speculation, each unanswered question amplifying the unease. As the layers of secrecy tighten, the public's curiosity swells. Will a nation maintain its confidence in the shadows of its leaders' hidden truths? Such drama unfolds, embroiling everyone in contemplation and dread, setting the stage for confrontations that could shift the political landscape forever. A whirlwind of rumors and concerns has erupted in the United States surrounding former President Donald Trump's health. This surge of speculation was ignited by a seemingly innocuous photograph of Trump shaking hands with South Korea's leader, which revealed a large bruise on the back of his hand. For more than a week, he has vanished from public sight, prompting grave theories about his health. The roadblocks near Walter Reed National Military Medical Center intensified fears, as whispers spread across social media, hinting at a looming crisis that could shake the nation's political foundation. Startlingly, a provocative article circulated online, suggesting Trump might have as little as 6 months to live, supported by an alarming image showcasing the bruise. Not to be outdone, British media added their flair, claiming he was covering up a hematoma with makeup, all while trying to conceal his hand during official duties. NBC recalled earlier sightings of similar marks on his body, which the White House attributed to common causes like aspirin usage and frequent handshakes. Yet, the narrative began to twist as observers speculated that such an evident injury could hardly be attributed to a casual game of golf. People began to voice their theories. One commenter stated emphatically that bruise isn't the result of playing golf. Its peculiar shape suggests something more concerning. Another chimed in, "Those marks appear typical for patients undergoing intravenous treatments." The more officials struggled to clarify the matter, the louder public skepticism echoed. Unsettling evidence continued to emerge. Journalists noted swollen ankles, urging alarming speculations about possible heart issues or circulatory problems, which ignited fevered discussions across online forums. As one commentator pointed out, that bruise on his arm hasn't healed in months. Together with the swelling, it clearly signals a serious illness. In response to the escalating scrutiny, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt announced that Trump had undergone comprehensive medical examinations revealing chronic venous insufficiency. While she claimed this condition is rather common among older adults, such a mundane diagnosis failed to quell the growing anxiety surrounding Trump's health. Accompanying footage of Trump struggling to walk on the golf course undermined his assurances of feeling great. What began as mere speculation morphed into wild theories encompassing knee pain, arthritis, and even neurological disorders. A prominent sports doctor went so far as to suggest he might have jumper's knee, a condition causing awkward leg alignment. Although this new explanation was less dramatic, it still resonated deeply with the public. Meanwhile, social media users stitches together various pieces of the puzzle, their concerns coalescing into a concerning portrayal of Trump's health that starkly defied his claims of being in peak condition. Rumors intensified further when Vice President Joe Biden publicly stated his readiness to step in should the worst happen. This announcement captured the nation's attention, raising unsettling questions about the power dynamics within the U.S. government. Financial markets reacted swiftly and negatively. The Dow Jones Index tumbled by 15% upon hearing news of the hospital roadblock. Amid the rising tide of anxiety, Trump attempted to diffuse concerns with a spirited social media post about his golf exploits while sporting a gold cap emblazoned with the American flag. Yet, the juxtaposition between his buoyant statements and the persistent trepidations from the public deepened the intrigue. As comparisons to previous leaders who concealed their health issues emerged, the tension heightened. Could this spell disaster for Trump's political future? One question lingers in the air: will the tumult surrounding his health be a monumental turning point for the trajectory of American leadership? The nation, mired in uncertainty, waits with bated breath for what revelations may lie ahead. Amid the whirlpool of speculation circling the United States, the health of a prominent ex-leader, Donald Trump, unravels a story thick with intrigue and uncertainty. Normally, the chaotic political tapestry is woven with policy debates and international maneuverings. Yet now, it hangs precariously on the eerie casualness of a handshake, one revealing a haunting bruise on Trump's hand. This seemingly innocent moment ignites a wildfire of concern. Could it signal an impending political crisis? For over a week, Trump vanished from public view, prompting immediate concern as streets leading to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center were abruptly closed. The internet surged with theories, painting dire pictures about the former president's health and creating a camp of skeptics questioning his ability to serve out his term. All of this from a photograph, an unsettling image of Trump's hand, discolored and alarming, taking center stage in a political saga. Captured by the media frenzy, British outlets suggested Trump might be trying to mask this evident hematoma with makeup while tackling essential paperwork, enhancing the clouds of intrigue surrounding his condition. As whispers turned to roars, reports emerged recalling a similar bruising incident from the previous year. Observers noted the relentless handshakes Trump engaged in might have taken a toll, and doubts spiraled into fears of something far worse than mere clumsiness. As if pulling back the curtain of speculation, viewers began analyzing swollen joints and hinting at significant circulatory issues. Medical professionals chimed in, hinting at chronic venous insufficiency, stirring public dread. Despite reassurances from the White House, skepticism seared through, driven by Trump's increasingly evident absence from public life. What exactly was wrong? The question lingered, prodding the anxious masses determined to uncover the truth. Adding fuel to the fire was the vice president's burgeoning presence, ready to step in should disaster strike, a prospect that swirled discussions around political succession into an even stormier sea. Market reactions mirrored this turbulent landscape, as investor sentiment shifted with stocks nosediving while gold spiked, reflecting the palpable anxiety threading through society. Caught in this tempest, Trump attempted to present a contrasting narrative, boasting of his recent golf games. Yet this jarring disconnect only intensified scrutiny over his silence. Where was the vibrant leader once known for his commanding presence? As days turned into weeks without significant public appearances, frustration burgeoned, provoking citizens to demand clarity. The discourse shifted sharply from policy to personal health, as paralleling Trump's situation with past presidential crises underscored a deeper, unsettling narrative. With each fleeting news update, uncertainty cast long shadows over the nation's leadership and governance. A cloud of perpetual question loomed: who was truly steering the ship amidst these unfolding events? In this theater of doubt, each day felt laden with consequence. The specter of deep political upheaval grew more vivid. Would Trump's apparent silence herald an end to an era? The answers remained elusive, cloaked in mystery, leaving America to grapple with the haunting implications of leadership loss. As every soundbite echoed through the halls of social media, the urgency pressed heavier on the nation. Who would emerge from this shadowy chapter to claim the fragmented mantle of American leadership?